Now, fancy a drink?
Always.
Pubs have been part of British culture for centuries, but as we've reported here on the programme, a lot in the last couple of years. Some of them are struggling to survive. Last year alone, apparently, more than 1,000 across the country had to close down.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it, when you're driving down and see a closed pub sign? Among them was the Alton Lion in Cambridgeshire. But the regulars there are determined to save it.
They're having a whip round. The ultimate whip round. They need to buy it back for £500,000. Lee Milner has been to see if they can do it.
Last summer we were here, kids playing in the garden.
Yeah.
So it was such a nice memory.
Absolutely.
Nestled right in the heart of this small Cambridgeshire village, the Alton Lion pub. Surrounded by overgrown hedges and foxgloves, you can still see how beautiful it once was before it closed its doors last year.
Well, this pub's always been a thriving part of this village for 300 years. It's a place where the cricket clubs meet, there's book clubs, there's been lunch clubs, it's had bounty castles in the garden, it's got this beautiful south-facing garden. So it's such a shame now that has gone in the village.
Now residents are trying to raise £450,000 to save their last remaining pub before the 24th of September so they can buy the Lion and open it as a community-owned pub protected from potential redevelopment.
We're going to raise the money by issuing shares to people. People can buy shares anywhere from £200 upwards to £100,000. We will also have to raise some other money as well. We'll be taking out a loan and we'll be raising some other grants.
It used to be called the Red Lion. It was the Lion originally in 1728.
Right.
At some point it became the Red Lion.
OK.
Rachel Mary Radford is the chair of the community group Alton Lionhearted. She shows me photos of all the birthdays, Christmases and Halloween spent there over the years.
Something would go out of the heart of the village. And our vision for something more than a pub, these other things that we can do as well as being a pub, wouldn't happen. And so, it wouldn't make the change that it could if it was a community-owned pub.
Now anyone from anywhere, not just Alton, will have the chance to keep this pub open, hopefully, for another 300 years. Lee Milner, BBC News.
Hopefully, indeed, yeah.
Let's have a chat then about what more can be done to help pubs. I definitely do my bit, by the way. Steve Alton is Chief Executive of the British Institution of Innkeeping, and Richard Allen is Director of a pub called The Swan in Windsor, which is partially owned by the local community. And we'll start with you, Steve. I mean, it's a massive question, but how's it come to this, so many pubs closing?
It's, I think, a sign of, unfortunately, post-pandemic. We've had some real issues, and there's still debt. Pubs have been facing chronic inflation for a couple of years as well, so 20% increases there. Energy is not normalised, unfortunately, and the national living wage increase didn't just affect entry-level roles, it was throughout pub teams as well. So they're facing a huge wall of costs. So conversion is the issue. I mean, many pubs are busy, and maybe didn't get the results on Sunday we wanted, but the pubs as a whole, those that showed the football had a fantastic time. To see those scenes of full pubs, and it wasn't just the money, it was to do with people being reminded of what great places these pubs play in society to come together and celebrate.
Some landlords that I speak to, though, say it's also a cultural shift in so much as people under 30 perhaps aren't drinking as much alcohol, they're opting to socialise in a different way. Is that something we just have to accept, maybe?
No, pubs have very much stepped up now. So to go into a pub, 1 in 3 visits is no longer to do with alcohol. They do great coffee, non-alcoholic and low-alcoholic beers and soft drinks and new spirits ranges. So there's lots more reasons to go to a pub. Food, events, community clubs use pubs now as a place to come together that is friendly and accessible. And then they see the pubs are very different than a modern pub, and they come back with their families later. So, no, they've very much tackled that. Outdoor spaces, frustrating with the weather. During the pandemic, they invested hugely in outdoor spaces, and you saw some of those being used during the football as well. But let's get some sunshine and get the pubs packed again, because they do offer now something that appeals to all types of customers.
Let's go to the pub. Let's go to the Swan at Windsor and speak to Richard. Hi, morning, Richard. Your pub has been saved partly by the community. Tell us how they've done it there.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been quite a long journey, but going back to 2015, but I'm the CEO of a charity called the Green Room, and we run alternative schools for young people who've fallen out of mainstream education. And we were looking for something that is like Steve says, more than a pub, a place for our youngsters to learn and to become part of the community. And then we joined with a local brewery because we didn't know how to run a pub. So we sort of got our business plan together. And in order to do it, we needed to enlist the help of the community. So in 2018, we set up a community interest company, which I'm a director of, and about 180 people in the local area got together and, just like the story that just went, either bought shares in the pub or they gave us a loan of money, and we promised to repay that loan in twice its value over the bar within 3 years. So
wow.
We managed to get, it was very difficult to get a mortgage. We were turned down 6 or 7 times, but eventually we did it, and we managed to sort of put in a bid that took away the competition of developers and everything like that, and we got the keys in February 2019. In fact, it's our 5th birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
You know, we're calling it, and I know you've won awards for being a community pub. What does a community pub look like compared with a regular pub? I mean, what kind of things might we expect to see going on there if we turned up?
You could come to this pub any day of the week and see something different that's going on. I think that's one thing. It's really sort of embraced the diversity within the community. We have a Warhammer group that meets here. We have a ukulele group that just started and are now gigging and touring around the town. We have a group that comes and does sewing, a mahjong group, cribbage, and obviously we have pub quizzes, bingo, and we have a chatty cafe that comes every Friday. So if you're feeling a bit isolated in community, you come along on a Friday and there's a table that is now taken over half the pub, and they go on and do sponsored walks and stuff themselves. So there really is something different and something for everyone. And if you come on a Thursday, the pub is run by our students here at the Green Room College, and they take over the pub. They work in the kitchen, behind the bar, they do front of house. We've got a shop called the Epic Emporium, which they sell their own crafts and bits and produce from our allotment and stuff like that. So it really is something, I mean, anything. If you're a community member and you wanted to start something here, we would support you to do that.
Wow. Thank you, Richard. I think I'm going to be moving to Windsor.
I think we'll struggle to get a table, to be honest.
Exactly. Steve, finally, what would you say to somebody who's seen an abandoned building in their community that used to be... Because they are fantastic buildings, some of them, aren't they, from the late 19th century. What would you say to someone who wanted to set up a project like this? What help is out there?
Lots of help. Obviously, ourselves, you know, our purpose is to help keep pubs thriving in the heart of every community. So everything that these guys have to tackle, the technical stuff, the legal, the HR, the licensing, but also how do you diversify your business? How do you appeal in the brilliant way they've just talked about to get so many different people who were non-traditional pub goers and realise pub is a very different space. But there's two things. We applaud what these guys are doing. It's fantastic. And to breathe new life into empty pubs is fantastic in the first place. But we need to save pubs to getting into that state in the first place. And we have a lot of viable pubs that have been out there for decades that through no fault of their own, they're finding incredibly tough times, and government does have an opportunity to give a little bit of investment to our pubs. You know, short-term business rates relief falls away in March next year. That's a huge bill that's going to come in if we don't tackle that. So we need an early announcement from government and just to level up the playing field on taxation. For every £3 you give to these guys across the bar, £1 goes to the taxman. Okay. That's too much. We need to bring that down and reduce that.
We have to leave it there. Steve, Richard, cheers. Thank you very much indeed. Good luck.
It's got me right in the mood for a little cider and a pickled egg, John. We'll do that
Not till
after the
9:30.
programme.